Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Porter. We've talked separately about plants and animals and viruses, so today we're going to bring all of those lessons together into one lesson. Some of the questions that you should be able to answer at the end of this are: what are the 7 characteristics of living organisms? Why are viruses considered non-living? And what is the difference between a plant and animal cell? The prefix bio means life. Biology is the study of life. Biotic factors are living, which means abiotic factors are non-living. There are 7 characteristics of living organisms. They must be made of 1 or more cells, be able to reproduce, adapt to their environment, use energy, grow and develop, maintain homeostasis, which refers to keeping a balance, and respond to a stimuli. Abiotic factors are missing 1 or more of these characteristics. For example, water is not considered living because it is not made up of cells. Plants and animals, on the other hand, have all 7 characteristics. All living organisms can be separated into 2 categories: prokaryote and eukaryote. Prokaryotes, the oldest of all living organisms, are simple, meaning they are unicellular, have no membrane-bound organelles, and have no nucleus. Prokaryotes are made up of different types of bacteria. Eukaryotic cells are more complex. They have a nucleus, membrane-bound organelles, and are usually multicellular, although some are unicellular. Plants, animals, fungi, and protists are all eukaryotes. Although both eukaryotic, animal and plant cells have several differences. Animal cells have lysosomes, an organelle used to clean the cell. I think of Lysol when I hear lysosome. Animal cells also have several small vacuoles to hold water, compared to 1 large vacuole in plants. This is because animal cells do not need to store as much water. Additionally, both plant and animal cells have a cell membrane to protect what goes in and out, but animal cells do not have a cell wall. Plant cells, on the other hand, have that cell wall for structure and support. Think about how rigid a tree is compared to your own body. As I mentioned, plants have 1 large vacuole to store water and help maintain their structure. Finally, plant cells have a chloroplast, which allows them to photosynthesize. They use light energy to create their own food, something animal cells can't do. What is a virus and why is it considered abiotic? Like living organisms, a virus has nucleic acid, DNA or RNA, which is inside and then protected by a protein coat called a capsid, and then a lipid envelope. Viruses also have some sort of tiny projection on their surface that allows them to attach to cells. What makes viruses non-living is the fact that they cannot reproduce on their own. As we've seen with the flu, coronavirus, and other viruses, they can adapt and change, but they cannot do this without living cells. They must inject their genetic material into a cell in order to reproduce. In order for viruses to replicate, they must first attach themselves to a living cell and inject their genetic material into the cell. Viruses have 2 different reproduction cycles. The first, lytic, is a shorter cycle. Short word, short cycle. In the lytic cycle, the virus enters the cell, replicates and assembles itself, and then bursts and kills the cell. This type of virus is usually in the body for a few days to a few weeks. The flu and COVID-19 are great examples of viruses with a lytic cycle. The second cycle is the lysogenic cycle, a much longer cycle. Remember, long word, long cycle. This virus attaches to the living cells, but then it incorporates its genetic material into the cell's DNA. This is a much sneakier process. The cell will replicate the DNA and go through cell division without ever knowing that the virus is inside. To wrap up, I've included 3 Venn diagrams reviewing what we've learned today. Feel free to pause here to review or rewind to go through a slide again. I know I've talked kind of fast. I only have 5 minutes. If you have any questions, please make sure you contact your biology teacher.